Good evening. I want to speak about Newcastle. Recently they've been taken over by a Saudi Arabian family that's worth 300 million. I believe they're the richest owners within football as we speak. And so Newcastle fans were happy that Mike Ashley is finally been out of Newcastle. That he sold the club to the Saudi Arabians, and they were celebrating in the streets, waving the black and white flags, the black and white stripes. And so it's going to be interesting what goes on from here, because as you would expect, Steve Bruce's job has been called under question, and to a degree it should be, because quite frankly, to go from Benitez to Steve Bruce is quite frankly unforgivable. By my Ashley to kind of let a a Champions League winning manager, a Champions League winning coach like Benitez to leave and then replace him with Steve Bruce, that's just such a downgrade that cannot be forgiven, quite frankly. And so, honestly, I think he's out of his depth. And quite frankly, not to sound, ageist, he's part of those breed of managers, of English managers who've just been around mediocre at different clubs, giving mediocre to poor results, getting them relegated, or they're just staying up in the table. They're not really moving forward. They're not really progressing with the teams that they're coaching. And so it's only going to be a matter of time before they sack him, because a lot of money has been invested into Newcastle. Well, it is being invested, and having Steve Bruce as manager will only make the investment a waste, quite frankly. And so there's just no point of him being there. And from what I know so far, he's still in charge, but it's only going to be a matter of time before the axe comes down on him at Newcastle. And quite frankly, that should be the last Premier League job, he has. It should be. And hopefully, younger managers may get a chance to kind of show their potential and show how they can develop players. Managers managers who are similar to like Lee Potter at Brighton, the Brighton manager. He's doing really well with what he has at Brighton, with the players that he has. Well, that are playing for him, that he has on his team that are playing for him. That's what I mean. And so, yeah, I mean, Steve Bruce is lucky, and it's just now. I think in terms of the years it would take for Newcastle to become competitive for the league, I think it would take a while, at least 5 years, I would say, 5 or 6 years before they challenge for the top four and then challenge for the league. Because with Man City and Chelsea, the reason why it didn't take long for them to challenge for the top four and for the league, well, with Chelsea they're already in the top four, and so they already had good players like the Desayili, Lampard, John Terry. So clearly, it was going to be hard for them to kind of, step up a level and compete. And with the rest of history with Chelsea and with Man City as well. They were like around at the top 10. So for them to kind of become what they are today, it did take it took at least 3 to 4 years for them to kind of break into the top four, and then eventually start winning league titles. And so honestly speaking, I think because of where Newcastle are at right now, I believe they're in the relegation places. I think it will take them a while for them before they can start, the top four and buying world-class players. And so, that's just me being realistic. And I'm sure, many Newcastle fans would agree that would take a while. But certainly, if they, change the manager, I think, with a better manager than Steve Bruce, they will obviously, progress up the table, and not too long in the future, they could challenge, depending and depending on the decision making within the club board, and I think the British woman that was involved in the takeover, Amanda Stavelli, I think that's her name. I think that's how you say her name. Yeah, she was instrumental in that, and it's gone through. It's happened, and the gossip fans are happy. There have been some negative reactions to the takeover because of the issue of human rights and how the Saudi Arabian family allegedly are involved in abuses abroad in the Middle East, and so that's not gonna that's one thing that could have a stain on the great news for Newcastle fans, is the fact that there are issues of human rights that are attached to the owners to the new owners of Newcastle. And so I think earlier on, Jurgen Klopp, the Liverpool manager, he kind of expressed his dismay at the takeover, understanding that of course Newcastle fans are happy, but he kind of questioned the Premier League chief, Richard Masters, on why more wasn't done to assess the character of the owners of Newcastle in terms of decide like evaluating their past in some of their business practices which where the human rights issues are are prevalent. And so and also I think Amnesty International have reached out to Newcastle for them to study the history of the owners in regards to the issue of human rights. And so yeah, I mean yeah, it's understandable. And honestly, I think Newcastle fans don't care because they've been suffering, relegation, promotion, they've been suffering. They've just gone down in the drain, with relegation. But thankfully they've been promoted since, well, they came back they've been in the Premier League since 2018, and they're still in it so far. And honestly, I think fans don't care about the human rights issues because they just want their club to be successful, and they believe that they are a big club with a big following in this country, which is debatable. It's debatable, but the fact is that the fans have been suffering and they want change. And quite frankly, fans, they don't really give a rat's ass about potential human abuses, human rights issues concerning people who are investing money in them, billions of money in them. Like I said, they're worth 300 billion at least. So not 300 million, like I said before. So yeah, I mean, money talks, and we'll see what happens with Newcastle in the future. I'm happy for them. I'm happy for the fans, and I'm sure other fans of clubs who wear they have owners who are not interested in investing and building a club, are jealous. And so, yeah, that's what I have to say. Take care and God bless.